right, so we're in the presence of Allonda Hawkins on the Zoom. Let's do like 120-second snapshot of who is Allonda.
Yeah, sure. I don't know if I can take up that much time. I'm Allonda Hawkins. I'm an agent at Keller Williams in Winston-Salem, your firm. I am a mom of four, aging from 6 to 11. So very, very busy and very loud household. And I am a wife of almost 15 years this year. I'm a realtor here in Winston-Salem. I've been licensed for 3 years now. Just came up on my third. January was my third year practicing real estate. And I've been at KW for a year. Well, when I first got licensed, I was at KW for about 2 months.
For a second.
Yeah, well, I left and then I came back last November. So I've been here a little over a year. And I don't know what else. I don't know what else to say.
Well, all right. So she's also a humble lady. So we're going to get into her success. So the first year, how many deals did you do your first year?
I mean, it wasn't that strong my first year. I think my first year I did like 11 sides. Year two, I did 31, I think like 31 or 32. And then this past year, I just did 53.
11 sides would put you on stage if we were in San Francisco. But 11, your first year is actually about 11 times more than the average agent does their first year. Yeah. And then the second year, that 11 to 31 is a big jump.
Yeah.
Right. And that's about the time when we started talking again.
Yeah, we started talking like midway through the year last year.
And we started talking specifically because you were at a point where, you started with us, and in full disclosure, you kind of started with us thinking you were going to be on a team, and that didn't play out. So then you're like, well, now what? And basically got recruited to like a boutique situation.
Right.
But ultimately went to another firm thereafter where you had a big growth. What made you feel like you needed to make a change? And I remember you saying very specifically, if I'm making a change, I want to make the right change, and I don't want to move again.
Right. Yeah. I definitely feel like I moved a lot when I was a new agent. And I don't feel embarrassed by that. I know that there are some who would say things to me and they're like, well, people are going to look. I'm like, well, one, my clients, they don't look. I don't think they care. I think the people who look were agents, but I wanted to make sure that I found the place that made the most sense. Nowhere that I joined was I unhappy. So to be clear, so I don't bash any firm that I was a part of, because I joined for a reason, and all of them were great in their own respective rights. It was more so about finding the place that made the most sense for the goals that I had for myself and for my family. The boutique firm, honestly, I learned a lot and they were great people. And then I joined a virtual firm, which is very, very popular. And I did well. Like I had a significant growth, but I always look at other people's stories as, cautionary tales. Like I don't necessarily need to learn all the bad lessons myself. I was a new agent. I was only in my second year. So I learned very quickly that I was very good at hustling, but there was a lot that I didn't know about business. And when you are an agent, especially a new agent, you don't fully understand. If you're coming out of a traditional 9-to-5, your mindset is around like career. This is not just a career. It's not just a job. You're not just a contractor, like you're building a business. And so I think for me, the conversation or the thought started to come in terms of a change. And coming back to KW was because even when I joined KW the first time when I was licensed, I read MREA in like 2 days. I think, the team leader at the time gave it to me. I took all the information I could at a voracious pace. And so I read that quickly. So I was already very drawn to the systems that existed. And to me, it always felt like a no-brainer. It was like, again, and this is the way my brain works. So if I can look at the end of what my goals are, and you know how I feel about goals, that's my love language. I can look at what my goals are, and somebody teaches me how to just break them down into bite-sized pieces, was already, like, duh, that's genius. But I also just really appreciated the language that I could hear around wealth building and really giving you models and systems to work towards building a business, which was the norm. And so that's honestly why I came back, was that although I did very well at the firm that I was in before, and, my growth happened quickly, in my opinion, for me as a mom of four, I was hustling, but I wasn't building a business. I don't want to be in a situation, especially being a mom before, where, any type of emergency can arise and I can't hustle anymore. All the money stops. Like I need to be able to build a system where the money still keeps going if I'm not the person at the door.
What I also find interesting is right this moment, there's a lot of companies that say that that's what they do, right? And basically say they're the new KW, right? And we're not going to go into who these companies are, because there's more than one, but there's several there's one in particular that everybody just thought of, but the reality is you've experienced that.
Yeah.
And ultimately, from a business perspective, you still felt compelled to come to KW from a business perspective.
I was at the firm that everybody just thought of. I didn't necessarily experience that culture where it was being taught. Like it, I learned, some great things, but I didn't hear that. Like this, in terms of building a business and wealth building, to me, it felt like it's been and has been very laced in. I know we use the word culture, in my opinion, a lot,
Yeah,
but it is very interwoven throughout all of conversation. I literally now could hop on a call with any other KW agent, and it's just something that's known. I think there are agents at every firm that's possible where you do have those standouts who build a business. I'm not trying to be, a jerk and say that it doesn't exist anywhere else. It definitely exists other places. I don't know. I mean, I'm not as brilliant as those folks. I'm saying that this is something that is taught throughout everything. In fact, it was the first thing that happened when I walked in the door, literally walked in the door. I can recall coming in November and being in my wits end and in tears, probably every other day with our team leader, because I was so overwhelmed. And those were always the first conversations immediately of, implementing leverage, immediately of like talking out how to build out my business. And I was, very apprehensive at first, but when I did, it was a weight that was lifted because I was managing sometimes 12 and 13, 14 deals by myself. And that, that model is just not sustainable. I had to have the question of, do I want to still be hustling this hard in 5 years? I don't. Like, I want to see my kids grow up. I want them to have a memory of them being with me and in my presence. 6-year-olds don't care how much money is in your bank account. Like they care about, even if I'm doing it for them, they don't care. They want to know that they've seen me. Prior to switching, I have emails of seeking that out and looking for that guidance. And I personally didn't find it. Everybody has different experiences. They might be connected in a different stream. I'm just saying the one that I was connected to, I didn't have it. And so I had to make the decision that made the most sense.
I think what I hear you say is that it's not a onesie or a twosie or a threesie. It's hundreds, it's thousands of people that you feel that you could connect with. And
I saw women, the team leader at the time, even, I don't know if I've even said this to her, but I remember her saying even that she was a mom, like her kids were the same age as my kids. Those are the people I look to. No disrespect to you as a dude, but y'all's lives don't look the same way that moms do ever. Like, even if you're married, they just don't look the same. Generally, moms, we have 2 full-time responsibilities. If you're an agent, you have a full-time responsibility in this field, and you also have a full-time responsibility at home. So I'm seeing a mom who built a business, a successful one, that she could step away from, be a team leader, the business is still sustained. That was very, very attractive to me. And I can make the same amount of money or more and not have to be like answering every single phone call, bouncing out the door, right when I'm finishing dinner with the kids to go and show. Like, the fact that that was an opportunity for me, I was sold. And it's the fact that I have somebody in my face that I can sit down. You know how many times I'll text you like, yo, I got to get 10 minutes in with you. The fact that I can do that was a win for me.
I get it. And I think this is a good kind of finishing arc, right, of business and really financials, right, of the core of why we do what we do. And really, I think a key component as to why you made a change and why your business has gone where it's gone. I've heard you say money flows through the hands, right? And there's a lot of firms, there's a lot of agents who can make a lot of, it is a lot like winning the lottery, right? They make good money, better money than they ever thought they'd make right away. And then the kinds of decisions that they make at that point in time, business and financial decisions that they make at that time, have long lasting impacts, positive and not, right? So for you, that was a key component too, was building that foundation.
Yeah, I think that's what scared me the most is that my first year, I had a good year, but in the situation that we had with my family, there was a long time where I stayed home as a stay-at-home mom with my kids for many, many years before I went back to work. I went back to work and I had an entry-level job, even though I was well-degreed. I had an entry-level job because I've been out of the job market for a long time. I got promoted really, really quickly in a short period of time, but there was always a limit to what I could do financially in that type of job, which is why I got into real estate. When I got into real estate, I didn't make a ton my first year, but my second year, it tripled, almost quadrupled in terms of income. And it came at me so quickly, it almost scared me because, like we had talked about, although I didn't do a poor job with the money, I'd always seen stories of agents where the money is sand that goes to your hand. Mentally, you feel like you have a lot, but having a lot of money, I think, as I said to you before, is not the same as wealth. And I recognized that really quickly. So it came at me fast. There was a lot with that that I knew I didn't know. And so I wanted to be connected with knowledge, right? And I didn't have that. I just had a lot of money and a lot of people who were praising me and said, you did a great job, because that was my first time ever seeing a 6-figure year personally, as you know, by myself. I was like, okay, this is concerning, because the business wasn't slowing down. It was coming faster. So I'm like, there's going to be more where this came from, and I don't know what to do with it. I don't know how to hold on to it. I don't know how to grow it in a sustainable way that does not require, again, me running out, dashing out after dinner and showing up at the door. I recognized quickly that I knew how to hustle, but I also recognized quickly that I didn't know how to grow something that could exist without me having to be present there every second of the day.
Last thing I want to say, and then I'll let you finish with whatever you feel we haven't discussed, is I don't know if you remember this, but it's in our mission and our vision is actions over words, right? Is that, you talk about how, and I do believe that culture in almost every company is overused, that word, because it's not a word that really needs to be spoken, right? It's an action.
Right.
And I want to say on a recorded video that you too back up in actions, right? Your culture, you have received a lot of help, but you've given a lot of help already too, and said things to the newer agents to say, hey, look, I've been there. Words are great, right? But everybody in every company has a lot of beautiful words. It's an actions thing that is really what matters.
Yeah, which has been my experience with y'all. There are lots of folks who call to recruit you, and they all say amazing things, which is why it probably took me a while to, make the decision. Everybody says amazing things, and then, you get into a space and you see that it isn't what has been presented to you. It's enough to get you in the door, and then everybody disappears. That was a ginormous value for me, because I wanted the next step that I was going to make in terms of changing. I wanted to stay, like I wanted to establish roots and to be there, good, bad, and ugly. But I did not want to be sold something that wasn't true. And I can say that my experience so far, and I've been there a year, is that what was presented was what was. Like I said, that I needed access to information, give me the tools that I need to win, and then I'll be out your way, you get out of my way, and I've got it. And so I feel like that's been given. And I also believe very strongly at a high level, or creating the type of environment that I would want. Like I try to give to other agents what I would have wanted as a new agent, and I give that freely. I think that if you operate from a place of abundance and not in greediness or stinginess or, being held off, all it does is, if your hands are open to give to others, your hands are also open to receive. And so I think that I say this, and I mean it. I feel like my business has been, I don't know if you want to use the word, as blessed as it has been, not because I'm fantastically better than anybody else, because I genuinely am not. It's that I operate from that model. It always has served me well. And that's how y'all have been. Like, I feel like I wouldn't come into the space thinking that you're just coming to give me something. Like, I want to make sure that you get out of me. I believe in doing that for the other agents.
Allonda, you also did something that I think a lot of agents don't do, which is when I asked you if you wanted to talk to other agents in our office, right, have coffees with other agents in our office, you took me up on it, right? I also think that's a key thing is when you're being recruited, you're going to get a lot of nice words. Yeah. I mean, everybody is, and I think that frankly, I joked with you when I met with you. I'm like, I'm not a good recruiter because I know that on a scale of 1 to 10 with beautiful words, I'm like a 6. And compared to other recruiters who are 10s, the reality is, are their actions 10s? You know what I mean? And I always feel like in real estate, same way, you want to under promise, over deliver. People hear those beautiful words and they go, and then they're disappointed, right?
Yeah. And I don't know how that's sustainable for anybody who operates that way. I'm a straight shooter. I don't necessarily need beautiful words. I just need to know that the things that I've clearly said that I need to win. It's not like I'm saying I want these things and then, I do nothing with them. Like when I did my first job interview, when I re-entered the job force and I got the job, they were interviewing me. And then I stopped and I said, how can I help you win? Like, what is it that you need to win? And they were taken aback by that. And that was a genuine question. It wasn't a tactic. That's really how my brain operates. How do I help you win? Because I know if I help you win, I'm going to win, right?
Yep.
As long as you're creating the type of environment that I need to do that. And that's what y'all have done. I'm building a business right now. Like I have people who work for me and I'm learning as I go, but I'm understanding like payroll and I'm understanding how to set my taxes up the right way, which I did not do the first 2 years of my business. But I now know, like, I know that I can hop on a text with you and ask those questions. And now I know how to set myself up correctly and structure my business the right way. Those are things that I didn't know. There are agents right now who've been licensed for 10 and 11 years that I'll talk to about these things who never heard, oh, I should be getting paid into an LLC and set up with, S Corp designation, like 10 and 11 years. I'm looking at agents who are been operating for 15 years and are still hustling hard. Like they might make a lot of money, but they are hustling really, really hard. If you're doing that and it's a choice, that's one thing. But if you're doing that and there's no choice, and if you stop tomorrow, you have nothing, that doesn't work. And I think since I've been here, even though last year was great, like this year almost quadrupled in GCI, and to set the type of goals I have next year that feel very attainable, and they are insane numbers. I'll text you and I'm like panicking and freaking out.
You are very close. Look, let's be real. You're not where you want to be from a leveraged perspective, and a lot of the goals that you have set, I mean, for your family purposes, and the reason why you're doing what you're doing, it's not a snap your fingers, right? You've been with us a year, your business has grown, your GCI has grown a lot, and you have things in place that by this time next year, it could look very different for you, right? It will look very differently for you from a leveraged perspective and a lifestyle perspective. And it's, it never moves as quick as you want. And it can move faster if you want to give up some of that GCI and if you want to do all these things. But from a business perspective, I want to throw that out there because I'm just being real.
I want to make sure that this is clear. Like last year, I made 6 figures. It felt like a lot. This year, almost quadrupled, definitely tripled, right, in GCI. But this year was the first year where I paid myself a salary halfway through the year. Didn't do it starting out. So I live off of that as if I get paid every 2 weeks. That's what I live off of. So my lifestyle doesn't necessarily match what I have in GCI, because now I'm seeing that money belongs to my business. In terms of mindset shift, it's changed, because if I looked at it the way that it came in and my lifestyle started to match that, that's what I would have done had I not gained the information that I've started to gain. Now I'm learning, all right, like a little bit of delayed gratification and build something solid, right?
I'll tell you right now, Allonda, I asked you to do this video because I feel like your story, it's unique, but it's also happening across the country. And I think there are a lot of people who need to hear that from a business perspective, you're making smart business choices.
Now, if there's any parting words and things that I wish somebody had said to me as an agent, and this is what I say to the folks that I'm now hiring on as agents, change your questions. Don't think so much about split. Think about what valuable information you can gain to grow and become a powerhouse. That's what I say to myself. How do I build something that's a monster, right? I want to be a powerhouse. And think about, like, what is your goal? To be a hustler with money that, could easily go through your hands, or is it to grow something that is sustainable? There's a link on my Instagram. It's Allonda the agent. There's a link on there where I offer free coaching for agents if they just want to hop on and do like 30, 45 minutes to just chat and talk through questions. I don't know everything, but
we might have to change that free here if we get enough views on this.
Yeah, I got to do free for right now because I don't have time to be consistent with it. But I can, just to answer, not ongoing, but like if you want to hop on and ask for 45 minutes to an hour, I answer as much as I can. Read as much as you can. Beyond MREA and like the one thing, read books like, what is that book you told me about? Is it Tax-Free Wealth? And there's one about the psychology of wealth. And then what's that called?
Wired for Wealth is the hardest read you're ever going to have, but it's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. Read books like Profit First. That's what I'm reading right now. Yeah. If you want to grow a business, but you have to think, like, what is your goal? That's not everybody's goal, but if that's your goal, don't get lured in by the sparkly thing. Also ask your question, like, why are people saying the new KW? Like, that means that there was something there that was established and well done that it has to be duplicated.
Honestly, cloning doesn't exist yet. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Allonda is a big deal, y'all. Allonda Hawkins. And where can they find you? What was your Instagram?
Instagram is Allonda the Agent. So Instagram/Allonda.
Allonda the Agent. All right. Thank you. See you.